Welcome to the Gritcast, where we get into the nitty-gritty of all things hockey. From the East to the West Coast. Here are your hosts, Matt Pierce, Nikosh Ganguly, and Darius Dominguez.
All right, we are back. Welcome to episode 6 of the Gritcast. 2-week break, some personal stuff, and then we also took a week off because nothing was happening. But now, because of that 2 weeks and a bit off, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. First things first, we'll cover some of the older stuff. Well, not really. There hasn't been much big news, but this one might be a longer episode because there's a lot of shit to cover. So, welcome back, my co-hosts Matt and Darius. What's up? How are we all feeling?
It's been a minute.
Hello.
It's been a minute.
It has been, yes.
Today's Matt's birthday, so
That's right.
I think he's like 34 now or something. So happy birthday to Matt.
Happy
Around there.
Matt.
Yep, Matt was alive to see the Summit series.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, a series that we're supposed to dominate, barely won. Took out their best player.
Anyways, first things first. Massive news. Alex Galchenyuk was released from his PTO today. So, I think it's a pretty big loss for the Avalanche. Like, that guy's a former 30 goal scorer, high draft pick. Kyle Dubas fixed him. So, it's pretty big miss for them.
Project.
Pretty big miss from them.
I'm not sure how they're going to repeat without him, to be honest.
Like, they lost Kadri and Galchenyuk. Even though they didn't have him last year, they still lost him. So,
right.
It's pretty big loss for them. Apparently, no, but like, on some serious note, apparently he's injured. Like, he got a pretty bad injury while on a PTO, which kind of sucks for him. And then Bednar said they're probably going to reach out to him once he's healthy, which I doubt. But anyway.
Galchenyuk is kind of collecting, team jerseys like they're Infinity Stones.
Yeah. It's been on a lot
I don't know how many he's had now.
Hold on. I think
it's been like 7 or 8 teams.
Hold on. Let me try and remember. Okay. Montreal, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Did he play for Minnesota?
I want to say he was on Minnesota.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
Minnesota, Ottawa, Toronto, Arizona, and Colorado.
There was a team that he was traded to, but he didn't play. It was Carolina.
Yeah.
Hurricanes legend Alex Galchenyuk.
And then the Leafs traded Igor Korshkov for him. Thanks a lot, Mark Hunter. All right, so Nathan MacKinnon signed an 8-year extension with Colorado, becoming the highest paid player in the NHL starting next year. So the Avalanche have MacKinnon for 9 more years, 12.6, 100K more than Mr. McDavid there. So, do you guys think that this was a good signing? You think the Avalanche made the right decision here? Because to me, it's very up in the air. Matt, what do you think?
Before the news about the salary cap extensions in the next coming years, I thought, that's a rather large contract, but I think it was something like by 2025-26, the cap was supposed to be going up at least 10 million. Don't quote me on that, but when those years come by, it'll make extensions a lot easier to negotiate, so that way you're not always trying to number crunch everybody like all 32 teams have been doing this summer.
I think he still, in a way, took a discount because, you look at the NHL and the young stars, you got McDavid, Matthews, and probably McKinnon, right? So 12 million, he's making 100K more than McDavid. I think he could have got a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, because of the cap going up so much in the next few years or next 4 or 5 years. But still a good number. And I mean, when the cap does go up, they're not going to be in a shady way. They can still build a team around him. So it's not even that bad of a contract. I think it's good for the caliber of player he is. Then I think it's good.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's amazing. Sorry, Nick. It's amazing how 12.6 for McKinnon is whoa, that's a large contract. And then in the NH or in the MLB, NFL, bench player, it's oh yeah, they're making $50 million a season. it's pennies for these owners in the MLB and NBA, right?
There's guys in the NFL you probably don't even know their name that play for your team
on the practice squad.
Yeah, they make $50 million a year. And then we're here is 12 million enough for the third best player in the league?
Is 2.3 million too much on their salary cap?
You gotta ask the question: is McDavid making too much money? It's you gotta ask. You gotta ask.
David should be making
selfish.
max,
He's a selfish player.
yeah, for real.
But yeah, it's crazy because like McKinnon, he's younger, but he's still like I think way older than Matthews and McDavid. No, like wasn't he drafted in what year was he drafted?
I think he's
13.
only
2013.
I think he's only like
So, like,
2 years older than him.
2 years older than McDavid, 3 years older than Matthews, maybe. Which that's a lot of time in hockey years. So
Sure.
we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's cool. You lock up your best player, a top 5 talent in the league. So yeah, not really much to say about that. One thing I also don't have a lot to say about is the Barrett Hayton extension, which kind of interesting. I think he was picked in the draft ahead of where a lot of people had him. Classic John Chaika pick, I think. I think he was really good. Was he good in the World Juniors? I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, that one
All
year was really good.
All I remember from is he got injured in the semifinal game against Finland, and then he came back against the Russians and scored the tying goal.
Right.
Didn't he have a broken hand against the Russians?
It was something like a
that?
sprained wrist. It was something to do with his hand.
I always get him and Kirby Dach confused from that year. I don't know why, but I think because Dach also had an injury around that time too.
And it was the year after in the pre-tournament against Russia. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't think his development has gone as well as a lot of people had hoped. I mean, John Chaika's not even there anymore because he's a cheater. So,
1 rules.
1.775 2 years or whatever. Nothing to really say about that.
Like if you're gonna get caught for something, do it. That's like something like at the combine. It's like, why would you get caught for doing stuff that you did illegally at the combine? Would you want to do something else that could, benefit your team instead of trying to see, hey, which prospect is potentially going to be good? Like you're rolling the dice on that one.
Which guy can run the 100-meter dash faster? Like
let me get some, data that I'm not supposed to see.
Yeah, like get caught for doing something really bad and actually helping your team on the ice.
And Darius, you're right. Like it didn't really help them. They still picked Barrett Hayton.
Yeah, like
yeah.
He said we have our eyes on this player, and then he did like all the cheating, and then with his data he picked the guy that they originally wanted to pick.
Yeah, so good for him.
Congrats.
I think maybe it was for like lower rounds because he got like Jan Yannick and like Matthias. I forgot his name. Matthias Macelli.
Yeah, like
those guys are solid, but yeah.
But for one draft, and now you don't
look, man. Look, man. It is what it is.
That's hockey. That's hockey.
That's hockey, baby.
Yep. Kevin Adams got an extension in Buffalo. Honestly, I'm a little bit iffy on this one. I don't think he's been cool, but that Tage Thompson extension was a little bit of a reach. He also gave Jeff Skinner I'm pretty sure he gave Jeff Skinner that massive contract.
I don't think that was. I don't know if that was him, to be honest.
Was that Botterill?
I think yeah.
Was it Botterill?
That was a few years ago. Yeah, Adams has only been the GM for 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, but isn't Skinner's contract 2 years in?
Keep talking, I'll find out.
Okay. But yeah, there's that. I think he had the whole Eichel saga, which was, whatever that was. I think they got a decent haul back for Eichel, so I can't really be too mad at that. Alex Tuch, Peyton Krebs, draft picks and such. So that's
those
cool.
those two alone, I wouldn't say it makes up completely for it, but later on down the road, you could see them making much more of an impact than Eichel, because in Eichel's final days, didn't really want to be there. I don't blame him because of the way they treated him, but still.
It also just seems like in the NHL, you never get fair value back for your superstars. Obviously, an outlier was the fucking Huberdeau Tkachuk trade, which was insane. But yeah, I feel like whenever a superstar gets traded, even when Erik Karlsson got traded, you look at it now, it's like Ottawa basically won that trade. But you look at it then, it was that does not seem enough for a generational defenseman. But
no, but now they've won that trade.
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
To go back to that, it was Botterill that signed it.
Oh, okay.
And I think keeping Adams is a W, because you need to stop playing musical chairs with everyone.
No, I agree.
So, he's done some good stuff, and even if he's done, a few questionable things, some GMs do. Even the best do, right? So, I think you got to keep the guy. If
and I feel
keep him.
I feel like he's done, a few, some nice little moves, keeping guys, not giving up on a player like Tage Thompson, especially. I'm not giving up on a guy Casey Middlestad's never going to be what people said he was going to be, but, not giving up on him. Things like that are cool. He hasn't. One thing he hasn't done is like sort out their goaltending situation. I think they're really waiting on Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to do something there. I think right now they have Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie. So I don't know.
41-year-old Craig Anderson.
So yeah,
and then Eric Comrie. Yeah, expect Eric Comrie back in Winnipeg by November.
Yeah, he always ends up back. Actually, they have David Rittich, bro.
Oh, no save Dave. Yeah, that game.
Dave.
We'll get to it later on, but that first preseason game he played against the Oilers, that was vintage no save Dave. That's all we're gonna say for now.
I think with like Luukkonen too is like the best goalie I've ever seen live, like in junior and stuff. And I was covering Steelheads, like he was a monster. So if he could even get to like 70% of what his potential was, they're fine. But he has not shown that.
Junior goalies are kind of voodoo though. Like they could
dominant.
No,
like the Zach Fucali effect, I call it.
Yeah, exactly. So it might not translate, but I think he's been pretty good in the AHL too. But I mean, we just gotta see what he does in the NHL. See if he progresses. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kevin Adams. I think as Jerry said, it's good to get the stability in keeping him. The Buffalo Sabres through like their past 15 years or whatever, seems like they've kept moving out coaches, executives, all that stuff. So it's good to get some stability. They're building a better core now. Even though Eichel is gone, it would have been cool to have him with like Power, Darlene, and all those guys. But they got Krebs, they have JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, they have Alex Tuck is there now. He's not too old. Tage Thompson. We'll see how if he can replicate his other season. And yeah, like Owen Power, Darlene, they're looking in. They're building something decent. And I think it's good to have a solid GM there.
Not really. Skinner, I mean, not bad.
No, he's solid. He's not worth his contract, but not. Yeah, but he's cool. So yeah. Other than that, not really much to say. Moving on, Matt, Ryan McLeod got his deal done. What did you think about that?
That is an absolute steal. $798,000 for 1 year. It'll probably come back to bite Ken Holland next summer when they have to figure out an extension. But for 1 year, that is as good as it can get for Ryan McLeod. The position that he plays, and the bottom six, he's probably one of the best defensive forwards on the team, and that's even including Hyman and Puljujarvi. So excellent contract. One of the rare few wins for Ken Holland this offseason. Very, very rare win for Ken Holland this offseason.
No, it's a good signing for the Oilers, especially with the cap pretty much staying the same and stuff. So let's see what they can do next summer with it. Like, you probably don't want to lose a player like that, but just to get it out of the way, that's a good contract.
Yeah, I also think what's interesting is, like, Darius, I'll rely on you for this. Like, I don't know how have you seen McLeod's game, because you watched him a lot, translate from the OHL to the NHL. Like, is he like the same player, or has he had to adjust developmentally?
No, he's definitely adjusted from when I was watching playoffs last year. Like, he doesn't. When he was in Mississauga, it was more just like free roam and take the puck, and you can take chances and stuff. But I've seen him develop into more of a defensive player, like Matt was saying. Like, he's a little bit more responsible. He knows his role. He's not as like free roaming, but still, like, it's cool to see him carry the puck through the neutral zone. And he had one goal where he just carried it through and like wrist shot and scored last year in the playoffs. I forget who it was against, maybe Colorado. But that was like classic Ryan McLeod. So he's definitely like adapted to the role. So he's doing well.
Cool signing for sure. Other than that, Ryan McLeod's he's a cool player, as Matt said. It's a low AAV. Might come back to bite Ken Holland, especially because his role might be increased. You might see more ice, harder matchups. So another playoff run might help boost his stock. He seems like the kind of guy who could be like a playoff type, like crazy contract. You know, like there's a couple of those every year where they go off in the playoffs, they get a big contract. So I could see that from him.
It just depends on his role, because like the first two centers you have, Connor and Leon. So that third line, I think he'll anchor that third line. It'd be nice to see like a line like, I don't know, Holloway, McLeod, and maybe Nuge, throw that on that right wing just to see what you can get, because Dylan Holloway is just another prospect that I'd like to see prosper, if you will. And a guy like Ryan McLeod, just to sort of take him under his wing, might transform him into like that nice two-way forward that the Oilers haven't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Next, we'll run through these a little bit more quickly. Sonny Milano got his PTO finally, which is crazy because like it was in Calgary. I think I talked about this in another episode. Like they got Kadri because when they got Hubert, I was like, I think they need like one more forward, like one more guy, and then they got Kadri, and now they have Sonny Milano, which just shows like their team is really really deep. It's kind of scary how much depth they have this year. Like you have Lindholm, Kachuk. They're gonna try and like, sorry, not Kachuk, Lindholm, Huberdeau, and they're gonna try and like boost the hell out of Toffoli this year. They're gonna run him first line right wing, first power play. Like they're gonna try and make that guy score a shit ton of goals. And then you have Kadri, you have Mangiapane, you got Milano, then Michael Backlund. A lot of really good players, and then that doesn't even like speak to their defense with Uyghur, Anderson, Shillington, all those guys. So I like the PTO. Obviously, he doesn't actually have a contract yet, but I think in terms of depth, that might be good. I haven't seen or heard much about him in the preseason, but he's just a depth player. We're probably not going to hear much about him anyway. I don't know if you guys have much to say about this.
Not so much about Sonny Milano. Like, it's amazing how 31 other teams passed on him until Calgary's like, hey, do you want a PTO? It'll be nice to see Calgary sort of step up and be competitive again, because at the beginning of the summer, the first few episodes that we did, we thought, this is looking very dangerous. And then you see as the summer True Living expands the depth and grabs Milano, it'll be interesting to see if he can get a full-time role, and I don't see why he shouldn't.
Agreed.
Yeah, he should definitely make the team. I think he'd be a good player for them too, but I think 31 other teams passing on him for this long might say something more than just about his skill.
Yeah.
So that should be interesting to keep an eye on too. I'm sure there might be something more than just hockey there, but it's good for the Flames in terms of hockey. So,
another guy who waited a while to sign his contract had a really good first half of the season. Evan Rodriguez ends up in Colorado, $2 million 1 year. I think really good for him. It's very solid. Colorado could use the depth after losing Kadri and Burakovsky, so I think that's going to be good for them. And yeah, Rodriguez should be solid there.
Low term, low dollar amount. They lost a few guys, and he's a good third line guy. So
yeah, I don't mind at all.
Yeah, with many of the signings this summer, like a lot of the low dollar amount for 1 year, that's it. You can't go wrong. It's a low risk signing. It's not like, oh, we really regret that one because you bury the contract. So
it's not like a team missing the playoffs and then getting mad at Tobias Reeder because he didn't score any goals. So yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about was how fucking Corey Schneider keeps getting NHL contracts.
Who's he with?
Yeah, it's Lou.
Did they just sign that?
They signed him again. They gave him another contract. He played. I'm pretty sure he played a few NHL games last year, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Forget the Corey Schneider thing. People wanted Lou to stay in Toronto.
Yeah, Schneider would have been our backup right now.
Jeez,
so
man.
If Lou was still here. Lou Lamoriello really doesn't do anything, eh? Like, he also brought back Soshnikov from the KHL.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and then, not really much else there.
Cool, man, cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's always so funny when they're like, oh, Lou Lamoriello has all this stuff in the works, and then he signed nobody. Like, he literally didn't sign anybody important to make the team better.
Yeah. No, he has everything in the works,
and
he just forgets.
His big move is not doing anything at all.
Yeah, it's
he's playing 4D chess here with everybody, and it's working, and I don't see how it works.
He's Batman. He just waits.
Without the big cave.
Dude, early Vezina candidate, bro. Ilya Sorokin, bro. Get ready. That guy is gonna have a crazy season. And then we have the biggest news of the day. Rasmus Sandin finally signed his extension. 2 years, $1.4 million, the exact contract he was offered back in June. So that was pretty interesting. Yeah, he got the identical contract to Liljegren.
You know what I don't get, though? The story came out this morning that him and his agent were watching the game, which I'm sure they were. And the two guys go down, right? The two Leafs go down, two defensemen, and they're like, oh, we saw 2 defensemen go down, so we decided Rasmus had to be there for his teammates, and we're going to sign the contract.
Yeah,
How does that make any sense? Wouldn't
me,
you then have leverage? Like, hey,
first of all, the people who got injured are Jamie Benn and Carl Dahlstrom. Those guys aren't NHL players. Look, there may be NHL 3 games a year players when someone gets injured,
sure,
but those guys are not NHL players. Another thing, Darius, you said it, but couldn't you ask for a little bit more money because they have no one else? Jake Muzzin is like chronically injured all year. That guy's going to be out like half the season.
He's hurt right now.
Exactly. Dahlstrom and Ben, they're kind of poo. Like, no offense to them. They're just not that great. I'm sure.
They're just like not there yet.
Yeah, they're just like, Dahlstrom is like my friend who is a Jets fan. Dahlstrom used to be an NHL regular there, and he hates him. So That's one thing. And then Jordy Ben, people thought he was going to be like the next Bogosian. But he's just, like, it's weird to say, he's slower than Zach Bogosian. That guy's not very fast. So
Zach Bogosian's underrated, though, too.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty good defenseman.
There was a few times last season when I was watching the Leafs in the playoffs and I saw Bogosian go up the ice on a rush. He's like, big man, what are you doing? Shouldn't he be back? Like, that just looks weird. It looks so off-putting to me. It's like, you are not supposed to do that at all.
In the bubble year when we had him, before, because it was funny, because like he was in Tampa, and then he came to Toronto, and then he went back to Tampa for 3 years at like league mate because he was like, dude, I never want to play in Canada again, which was so funny.
Yeah, it was also during the worst time you could possibly play in Canada.
Yeah,
so,
it was crazy. And then like there would be times where like he would like carry it up, like he'd be out there with like Matthews and Marner. They'd do like some crazy plays, and Bogosian would just take it, like skate down there, and just miss the net or something. So we just want to be like, I don't know. Yeah. So Rasmus Sandin back. I do want to say, like, to talk about the player more than just the number. He's sick. Like, I'm a big fan of his. Really sick puck mover. I really want his role to expand this year. I don't know if there's room in our depth chart for it because you have Riley, Giordano, Muzzin, Brody, Liljegren, and Justin Hull, who I forgot about. Yeah. So there's a lot of it's a good problem to have, but I think it's unfortunate for him as a player just because he's really good and he hasn't been able to show how good he is. He's like one of those guys who absolutely like obliterates his sheltered minutes, and it's time for him to play a little bit higher in the lineup just to see if he can do that. So yeah, I'm just excited to. I just like watching him play. I think he's pretty dynamic. He's a fun player.
Yeah, he's a good player. It's just like the holdout was stupid. Like
it's like
you're signed for the same thing they offered you. What?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
He both won and lost the waiting game. That's what I find funny.
He didn't.
Like he got a contract. It's not like he devalued throughout the summer, but he's.
That's right.
He's played that waiting game. And, maybe I will take that. Thank you very much. Give me the pen.
He was avoiding the bag skates. So. Shifting to another younger defenseman. Niels Lundqvist requested a trade and then got traded like the next day. So that was pretty interesting. Which I was surprised at the return because he got a conditional first and a fourth. What
are the conditions on that first?
I didn't even look
to see what they were.
I think they're just lottery protected. That's all.
Okay.
Which is good for Dallas because they might be shit. Like, who really knows? Apparently, there's been no movement on the Jason Robertson thing, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, to me, the Niels Lundqvist thing isn't really like it in a vacuum is like weird, but also like I feel like this says a lot about the Rangers, their development with young players. Like Elias Anderson requested a trade. He's on I think LA now. I don't really remember. But he didn't really turn out.
So, yeah.
Vitaly Kravtsov requested a trade. They mended that. Lundqvist requested a trade. He got traded. Cabo Caco hasn't like developed into what a bunch of people said he was going to be. Second overall pick. Some people said he could have went over Hughes. Look at that now. Like he's like a third liner at best. And then Alexi Lafreniere was one of the most hyped prospects. I felt like that was a lot though. Like after McDavid, I feel like every prospect was getting super hyped. I mean Matthews, deservedly so. But like then you had like Darlene, and then these guys were getting hyped. Aside from like Heishier and like the Patrick draft, these guys have been getting crazy hype. So
Ralph was like actually good though.
I know.
Like they were comparing him to McDavid.
But they were throwing around the generational buzzword, and that's what really killed it. It's like, oh, he's from Rimouski, so all the
Sidney Crosby played there.
Yeah.
But also, like, the QMJHL is generally the highest scoring junior league. Like, a bunch of random players just get 100 points there every year, I feel like.
Yep.
So, that was another thing. But yeah, just, Lafreniere should still be a lot better than he is. And I think, I like him this year as more of, like, a breakout guy. Because apparently they're going to play him with, like, Panarin and some other guys. Now that, like, there's some more room, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, that should be good for them.
He's an interesting case, though, too. Like, I mean, not him, but the Rangers, like, they have a bit of, like, the old Leafs in them, where they won't develop guys. They'll just, like, draft because they have the draft picks, and then they'll just play them. Like, they won't really, like, take care of the guys.
Like Luke Shen.
Yeah.
Example.
They'll just be like, oh, look at this great, cool guy, and they just, like, threw him in there, and he's like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And they're like, figure it out. We don't know either. So
Yeah, they saw the first Canadian boy that could throw a mean hit. And, oh, well, first pairing, you go here, son.
Guy. You're playing with Ian White.
It's funny, though, because, like, who are the best Rangers players right now? Kreider was home developed. Panarin they signed.
Shesterkin
they traded for. Shesterkin, I think...
Does that really count, though? I mean, goalie.
No, because they played in Russia the whole time. Yeah. The only guy they, like, kind of have is, like, Keandre Miller, who, like, he's sick, but, like...
Adam Fox?
Adam Fox wasn't... I don't think he was homegrown, though. He played on, like, a bunch of different, like... It wasn't in college forever.
Yeah, no, he was.
And then he got drafted by Calgary, and then he became an undrafted college free agent. Something like that.
Doesn't count.
I think it was Carolina. He didn't want to sign in Carolina. And Carolina traded his rights to the Rangers.
And then he didn't want to play. No, I think it was Calgary because every time he touched the puck in Calgary, he got booed. So.
Yeah.
Oh really?
It was Calgary, and then he let the time like run out or whatever. Like until he was like a free agent, and then he signed with New York. What about that Lindgren guy? I'm not sure either.
Ryan Lindgren, isn't he on a different team now?
No, but what I mean is like, did they like develop him at all? There was another guy that was like a big piece of their team, and it's like. Are they just trading for all these guys, or are they actually like developing these guys?
I gotta take a good look at this.
Philip Heedle's good. He's still pretty young. Capo. So it's basically just right now they have Miller, Heedle, Kako, and Lafreniere, which I feel like a couple of those guys could be like Kako. I think especially is the main one, but people think he could be a lot better than he currently is. And Lafreniere, I feel like he's a little bit behind. But also like COVID
He's also younger.
and stuff. Yeah. So
Braden Schneider. Forgot about Braden Schneider. I think he could be a solid stay-at-home defenseman.
That too. Yeah.
I watched him in junior with the Wheat Kings, and he had the a tendency to sort of go for like a big hit and get thrown into position. But the games, like the rare games that I watch with the Rangers, I think he sort of learned to be more patient on the puck.
Yeah. The Rangers have a good team. I'm just saying that don't be surprised when the young guys don't pan out because they don't develop them properly.
I'm just looking at the prospects. They got Will Cooley.
A lot of that was like, what was his name? Who's their coach? David Quinn at one point? Before Gallant? Yeah, that guy just didn't play the young players.
No.
And like,
not at all. No.
Gallant is like actually playing them. So that also might be another thing. But I always thought the Niels Lundqvist thing was interesting. Like, I feel like there's one big thing the Rangers are doing is like, they keep playing like Libor Hajek. That guy stinks. Like he's not that good. So
no.
Like he's a shocking player. Yeah. But yeah. So I don't know why they're doing that. Like Niels Lundqvist, solid. I wonder how he does in Dallas because now you have like Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, and now you have Niels Lundqvist. That's three really, really good young players that can help them. All they really got to do is get Robertson signed, and apparently it's unfortunate they have like the anchor contracts and like Sagan and Ben.
Yeah.
Because like Dallas is just never gonna be exciting because they're Dallas. Like I never really like. It's just kind of like their mantra to not be like an exciting team. So
they could be though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
now they have Jake Onger too. It's like they're like an underratedly young good team. It's just Sagan and Ben are just anchors, and like Pavelski is like the third best player and he's super old. So they're interesting. They're interesting.
If they can get Robertson signed, I think they can make the playoffs again.
Yeah, their whole method is like playing the rope-a-dope system. It's like get a whole bunch of shots against, wait until the other team's tired, then rush up back the ice and score. And it's just it gets very boring. like you said, Nick, they're just a team that's always boring. You know, they join the likes of like New Jersey, although New Jersey might be a little more exciting this year, and Minnesota. You know, outside of Kaprizov, I don't really see anything in Minnesota that, you know, screams, "Hey, I'm gonna watch the Wild tonight."
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's fair. A couple retirements too. 3 kind of era-defining defensemen almost. Maybe you could argue Keith Yandle, but PK Subban, Keith Yandle, and Chara all retired in like 24 hours. Chara and Yandle, I could see it. They were kind of finished. Yandle especially. That guy was finished for like 2 seasons, but he needed to beat that Ironman streak.
Which
Chara,
is going to get beat now anyway.
Yeah. I don't know.
All for nothing.
And then
all for nothing, Keith.
Chara is 45. He was still pretty good until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, the rating was on the wall already.
I think Boston knew like his body was giving up, and it's like, okay, we got McAvoy now, run along.
Yeah, and he finished career with Washington and the Islanders. Like, yeah, Chara was really sick. Like kind of an anomaly among NHL players, which was really cool to see. Like super tall, and like I personally fucking hated him. So
he's one of those rare defensemen that brought up the level of everybody around him. Like in that 2011 run, what other defenseman could you name besides maybe Johnny Boychuk? Like that's how good he was. He was almost on like a Chris Pronger type level. Yeah, Caberlet too, but he was on that level where even if he wasn't on the ice, like Pronger and Lidstrom, like he raised up the level of everybody, and you could see it obviously.
Yeah, and I just fucking hated him because like I just fucking hated him.
That's a good enough.
But he was
played
like,
the Leafs a lot. He was good. Like I'll admit that. Like
he was like in wrestling when the bad guy is like so good that like you have to cheer for him, kind of thing. You just admire what he does. It's just like I hate the guy, but you can admire what he does.
I oh my god, man. All those Leafs series, dude. I fucking
Towards the end, it was bad, but to see like at the beginning, like JVR and him go at it, like in 2013 and stuff, like I was like playoffs. This is it.
I hate him. I hate DeBrusque. I hate Marchand. I don't hate
Marchand's
Bergeron.
another guy I can like appreciate though.
Yeah.
Like, if he was on my team, that'd be great. But
nah, Bergeron.
The only one that you couldn't like dislike was Rask. I loved Rask.
Fuck Rask. Fuck that guy.
No, I never hated him either. I just think he was a bit of like a baby at times. Like he just
looked like a Finnish Harry Styles. That's all I can see in him.
He does. I see that now. He does.
Oh my god, dude. But yeah, he's done. Yandle, not really much to talk about. I remember when they scratched him in Philly and then I think the Leafs played him that night.
Yeah.
That night when he was scratched, and then we fucking brutalized him anyway. Like, it doesn't really matter if they played him or not.
That was the funniest thing. Everyone was like, "Oh, they scratched him. That's so bad." Like they ended the streak, and I'm sitting there like, first of all, the Leafs are gonna destroy you guys tonight, no matter who plays for you, and like, who cares? This guy's career was done 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Like, he sucked for 3 years.
He was almost not gonna play the year before in Florida, but they made a fucking huge ruckus about it. Remember that?
Yeah, the players or whatever, right?
Yeah, they were like, "No, dude, you gotta play him." But like,
I
the guy was not.
Streak, but he's awful.
And I think they didn't play him in the playoffs because it didn't count towards his regular season streak. So that was.
Which is another thing that doesn't make sense, but anyway.
I don't know, man. It's dumb. And then one I really want to talk about, PK. PK Subban retired 13 years into his career. One of the most polarizing players in recent history. I don't think he was that polarizing. It's just compared to in the NHL, he was just seen as polarizing because like he had a personality and was not white. So it was just like, so that was interesting. I was a big fan of PK. Even in Montreal, even though I was a Leafs fan, because I just thought he was so cool. Like he was just a cool guy and a cool player. Like, he fucking skated like
a maniac.
Yeah, like he was just crazy. And then like he would throw big hits. His fucking slap shot was crazy in an era where slap shots were dying. So that was pretty sick. I always liked PK. He was cool. It really sucks that the back injury kind of derailed his career. I feel like if he didn't have that, he'd still be like one of the better defensemen in the league. But like that's just hockey, right?
Yeah.
So
that 2014 series against Boston. That was one of the best stretch of games I've ever seen Subban play. Like there was what was it, the shorthanded goal at game 6?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it was game 6.
Is that the one when he came out of the penalty box?
Right out of the box, and then on Rask.
Oh my
and then,
god,
that
dude.
whole place
Electric.
goes nuts.
Electric.
I think that was one of the most electric goals of the past 10 years
ever.
at least. Yeah, or
you could argue ever.
Yeah,
like all 24,000 people.
Yeah, just
like
the
on their
energy of when he
feet.
comes out of the box.
Dude, it's so crazy. And then he puts his jock in the other section, bro. He just dangles the hell out of it. It's crazy.
He had handles for a defenseman.
Dude, he was sick. Yeah. He was so sick.
Yeah. He was a good player. And for, like you said, for being a Montreal Canadian, I never hated him. Ever. I really liked him. I remember 2014 too. I think it was game 7. Might have been game 7. He just bangs this one-timer from the point. And
boom! Dude!
There's also the game 1 double overtime winner against the Bruins.
That one too.
Dude!
I get them mixed up because just bangs it and just what's good.
That's how consistent he was throughout the series.
Yep.
If you needed a big moment, he was there.
Yep.
And it's you probably I think the only thing I've seen since that is Carlson or even Makar, right? In the playoffs, just single-handedly taking over the game.
I remember to go back a few years to 2011. They played the Bruins, and in Game 7, the Bruins were winning. I think there was 2 minutes left, and again, one-timer from the point, bar down.
Bang!
Tied the game, and I was like, damn. But then they lost in overtime. But anyway, no, he had a really good career, and I think he's he didn't have a contract. He's still pretty young. He can enjoy his life now, and he has many opportunities. He's going to be on TV.
Yeah.
Good for him, man. He's doing it right.
Yeah, and I remember there was so much it felt like he was destined to play for the Leafs at one point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just there's so much rumors and stuff about it, but there's it's like that with every superstar. Oh yeah, they're gonna come to Toronto, but with him, with him, it felt at some point that guy was gonna play for the Leafs. But I remember when he got traded from Nashville, because Nashville knew they would have known the most about his back injury, right? And they were trying to get off it as much as they could. And the Leafs were heavy in on him at that draft, but New Jersey ended up getting him. It's honestly crazy because that back injury really, really changed the whole trajectory of his career. As I said, that guy's probably still playing. The way he skated, any back injury in hockey is brutal. Just the way you move, any back injury to anyone, standing up is gonna hurt even more.
Literally walking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
they can happen to anyone. It's not just people will be oh, it's the way he's trained or whatever. It's literally one bad player, one bad hit could ruin it. Right? You're done. So
yeah, Subban retiring kind of opens up this era of guys you started to watch, or guys that got good, as you grew up. And even thinking he was on the 2009 World Junior team, you think about the other names Eberle, Tavares, they're not that old. And then you look at they're getting old and they're going to retire pretty soon. So it just kind of brings time back into focus for you and realize, well, it's not as long as you think, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's PK is the first guy where I'm dude, I saw that guy when he was
get drafted.
I vividly remember him being the best as he in his career. There's a lot of guys that retire for I'm 19, right? So a lot of these guys who are retiring I remember them being good, but I don't remember early 2000s or mid 2000s when they were in their prime. So it's cool, but PK is a guy where I remember this guy was cracked. He was actually cracked, and now he's not playing anymore, which is crazy.
And even Matt was saying, Eberle, Tavares, those guys are getting up there. So when they retire in the next few years, or whenever they do, it's gonna be that's weird too, because you remember them being so good.
I was there for Eberle's last junior game, in 2010, 12 years ago. It doesn't feel like it was 12 years ago. So it's oh, even you yourself are getting old, and it just kind of brings the vibe down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Getting old.
Kind of crazy.
You even bring up, sorry to cut you off, but you even bring up Tavares, and I was thinking, because I was looking at the cap situation or whatever. When Tavares' contract is up with the Leafs, he might retire. He would have to re-sign with them. He's not. I don't see him playing with anyone else, or what? Like he might retire if they don't have the room for him or whatever.
I'm hearing league mid. Hearing league mid.
Oh, the Spezza deal.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
At that age,
he's the hometown boy discount.
He's gonna be like 36 when it's done, maybe 35. So you might just have to.
He's a higher IQ player. Like those guys who are higher IQ players tend to play longer.
Like Pavelski.
Like
Crosby.
Crosby, even Spezza. Like
those guys are just
smart.
Yeah, they're just smart. Like they're not relying too much on obviously they're relying on their athleticism, but when you're like a high IQ player, it's kind of like Tom Brady and LeBron to make a good comparison to other sports. Like those guys are like LeBron's like obviously like very athletic. Like but a lot of people don't say Tom Brady's like the most athletic guy, or like same thing with like LeBron compared to a lot of other NBA players, but like they're just so smart where it doesn't matter if you're more athletic or like, you know, you have more skill. They're just smarter than you. So they're just gonna beat you like in the mental game. And that's why I feel like Crosby could play like for a lot longer than I think he said he's probably gonna retire after this contract in 3 years or whatever. Because I think on 32 Thoughts they asked him like, do you think you could play for a while? He's like, I think I could, but he doesn't want to. And I agree with that. Like that guy could probably play forever just because look how old he is now.
So smart.
And look how old he is now and look how good he is now. So yeah, like guys like that, high IQ players I feel like could play for a long time.
But it's like some of these guys realize that they want to retire on their own terms instead of having an injury take them out.
Yeah,
because he's got the head issues, right? So it, like as he gets older, like even if it wasn't intentional, like one big hit to the head, like that's it. That's pretty much it for him.
There's also the players that are remembered for how bad they were in their last few years. And I feel like some guys like that, like Crosby, don't want to be that, right?
Yeah, doesn't want to ruin his own legacy.
Exactly. So
I feel like that's one of my problems with like Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau. Like Marleau did it where I was like, dude, you need to retire, man. Like that year, like he was good. He was all right. The first year of the Leafs.
His last year with the Leafs was
last year. Like his second year, I was like, dude. And then they traded him to Carolina. He got bought out. Then he signed in San Jose, and then he got traded to Pittsburgh. You guys remember that at the deadline?
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like and then he signed again with San Jose. I'm like, dude, you need to stop. I'm like, Joe Thornton, he's still like practicing with the Sharks every day. I'm like, dude, like you're probably not winning that cup, man.
There's a difference. There's a difference between being a veteran leader and cup chasing, and it's very obvious when somebody's doing it. Like Thornton signing with the Leafs, sure, hometown deal, but look at that roster before he even gets added onto it. It's like that seems promising.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like I don't want players to be remembered when they were playing till like 46, 47 or whatever, and that's like, dude, like you need to. It's like. Vince Carter, I feel like did it right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like to get away a little bit, like I remember there was a bunch of times he could have signed with like the Warriors and just got his ring. Or like, there's a lot of times where like a lot of the Raptors players were like, yo, just bring Vince back. Let's get him a championship. Like he was like, nah, I'm gonna just chill. I'm gonna be like a veteran leader for like a guy like Trae Young. Like I'm gonna be old. I know I'm gonna be bad. But, like I don't think people remember Vince Carter as being like a guy who just kept trying to push through. Like he's remembered as a guy who like just played till he was old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're a guy like Joe Thornton, I'm like, dude, like, you didn't even, like you weren't even a full-time NHLer last year. So, yeah, I think, that guy needs to.
When did Vince Carter even retire?
Before the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's why. I remember it being like, he saw COVID and he was like.
Yeah, no, he was literally like,
I don't want to deal with that. I'm out.
No, because like the Hawks were so bad that year that they didn't even make the NBA bubble.
Yeah.
So he was like, dude, I'm just gonna. Like his last game was like a random regular season game in March because the pandemic happened. Yeah. So yeah. Matt, I'm gonna let you take this one a little bit. Ken Holland, signed Jake Virtanen.
Oh boy.
Ken Holland signed Jake Virtanen to a PTO. In the document here, we have signs an accused predator to a PTO. Aside from that, the guy also sucks ass. So, Matt, what do you think of Ken Holland's 1,000 IQ play that signs former 6th overall pick Jake Virtanen?
I have no idea where to begin. It's like out of all the players, Jake Virtanen. Really, you look at Sonny Milano. No thanks. let me take 16 points scored Jake Virtanen in the KHL. I looked it up. It was like 16 points. He had the same amount of points as Rob Klinkhammer. May as well just bring him back.
He got cut by his team in the KHL.
But yeah, and then he was brought back. And I don't get why Ken Holland, and to a lesser extent, Bob Nicholson and the rest of the Oilers old boy group decide to take a look at these stupid players like Evander Kane. Yeah, sure, he's good, but he's also a bit of a scumbag, right? But it's like Virtanen, it's like, maybe we can do an Evander Kane. No, you can't do an Evander Kane. He's awful. You'd realize that he's awful. He's going to be awful, and when he leaves and goes back to Russia, he's going to continue to be awful. In the 3 preseason games that I saw him play, just a ghost out there, not realizing this is his last chance in the NHL, and does nothing, and he gets outplayed by our first-round draft pick, Reed Schaefer, who's 18 years old, and Virtanen's 26. So to have that opportunity and squander it, shouldn't have had it in the first place. It's just internal rage. That's all I have to say about the Virtanen PTO.
It's actually shocking. I can't believe that there's not a bigger deal being made about this, to be honest. He sucks.
It's bad PR. It's like, hey,
awful PR. And even if they don't give a shit about that, he sucks.
And what's the worst part about this too is all the Twitter old heads. Oilers Twitter old heads are the worst that, join the ranks of Jim Matheson. It's like, oh, he wasn't guilty. It doesn't matter if he's not guilty. He still did it. And so, oh, let's give him a chance. It's like all I saw on Twitter was just rage, and rightfully it was rage. It was so dumb.
Didn't Ken Holland come out and say he was not guilty?
Well,
did he actually come out and say that?
I don't know the exact quote, but it was something like, "Oh, give him a second chance.
Everyone deserves second chance.
Everyone deserves a second chance." Okay, I was so stupid. I was so stupid. Like, there's many more words that I could use that aren't family friendly, but it was just dumb.
The Kane thing is like, he has all the off-ice stuff going on, right?
But he's sick of hockey. He's a sick hockey player.
Great hockey player, yeah.
He's a sick hockey player.
He's a sick hockey player. But then when you go out and do something like this, it's like, is there something more here?
It just kind of goes to show.
Shit. Yeah, what's going on?
Like, I love the team, but it's just, it feels like Holland is having this mentality. It's, oh, we're just going to be the bad guys of the league. Who cares if nobody likes us? So you kind of have to put your morals above the sport of hockey. If Evander Kane scores like the winning goal to win the cup, it's like, oh, well, sure, they won the cup, but it's like, still bit of a scumbag. And
I feel like
it's so bittersweet, to be honest with you, because I want to say I love Evander Kane, but I read all of the allegations and stuff that I've from past locker rooms and past teams. Like, oh, I can't 100% get behind the guy. I really can't, no matter what he does.
It also doesn't help that the captain of your team walks around going like, I do not see anything wrong. I don't know. I did not hear about that.
Or even last year too, where there was a whole bunch of interviews. He
was so blunt. He was so blunt.
Or even Duncan Keith too. After everything came out, Duncan Keith was like, "Oh, I don't know. Didn't see anything. Never heard anything."
So long ago, I forgot.
Yeah. What? It's 12 years ago. I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, it's like,
but you won your cup like 12 years ago. Fucking dickhead. Anyway,
I think you'd remember something that happened during one of the best moments of your life. No.
The McDavid thing is funny too, because I remember when Evander Kane signed, he was like I remember he literally just said, "I don't care, I want to win." I remember to paraphrase, that's basically what he said. And then wasn't he also asked about the Hockey Canada stuff? He said some dumbass answer.
Yeah, McDavid's quote was like, "Oh, it's a bad situation for everybody around." Are you sure about that, Connor? Everybody?
Not everybody.
It's like he's living. It's like NHL 14. Live the life. He was given four selected answers, and he chose the wrong one. He could have chose 3 others that were morally okay. It's like, oh, this is terrible. I hope those are punished. Not just to say, oh, well, that's unfortunate. for everybody. Is it unfortunate
McDa-
for Hockey Canada?
I think
Is it?
McDavid's very dense. I just think he's kind of a dense guy. Like best player in the world, hands down. But they can't market. Number one, they can't market the guy because he's a robot. And number two is like he's just every answer in his interviews. I'm like, dude, are you a little bit dense? You're a little bit dense, bro. I'm like,
He doesn't read the room at all.
no.
And
Well, here's the thing. He attempts to read the room. You can't say that he doesn't read the room. He attempts to read the room, and then he has foot and mouth syndrome. that's what it boils down to.
It's true.
It's mad. Let's shift a little bit to the Philadelphia Flyers. We were talking about earlier with the defenseman who retired. Ryan Ellis, his injury looks like he's not going to play again, which is very bad for the Flyers considering what they traded for him, and also very bad for the Flyers considering Ryan Ellis is a very good player, and it's also very bad for Ryan Ellis because he's still pretty young, and I feel like he could have played for a lot longer. It's just sad because Ryan Ellis I feel like when analytics got very popular, one of the main guys I saw people start raving about was Ryan Ellis, and he was very solid defensively and underrated in his offensive production. He was really decent offensively.
Matt?
Ryan Ellis is just. How many games did he play last year? 4? I think I watched one.
It was point per game, bro.
Oh, point per game. I think I watched one game. It's this isn't bad. And then he got injured. And now I have to watch Rasmus Ristolainen. And it's
for 5 more years or something.
My feelings towards the Philadelphia Flyers, it's more sadness than just pointing fun at them.
I just feel bad.
That's
right?
not a situation you want to be at. As an opposing fan, you don't want people to, feel bad about your team because it just makes things worse in the long term. And yeah, Provorov, he probably wants out because, there's
they got D'Angelo.
Locker room favorite Tony D'Angelo. Totally doesn't have a burner on Twitter. But it's
Tortorella's I don't know about the room.
Literally, dude, Tortorella's been fucking trash talking since he got hired. I don't know what's going on there. It's crazy.
Well, it's gonna be an absolute
Dumpster fire doesn't even. It's a compliment when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers. You have Carter Hart. I think he's injured. If I'm being honest, I think he had even being the starting goaltender for the Philadelphia Flyers, that's an injury in itself. So,
yeah,
because it's just a curse.
It's
name
so
me
sad.
Name me since Hextall retired. Name me one consistent starter that the Flyers have had for more than 4 seasons. Zero. That is absolute. And it's been 25 years since the guy's retired.
0.
No,
people talk about the Leafs goaltending.
Didn't they have?
Flyers.
No, they didn't have him. No.
Who?
I'm trying to think.
Brian Boucher.
Ilya Brzgalov.
No. Geez,
okay, but he wasn't there for more than 4 years. Even Bobrovsky too. They fumbled Bobrovsky so hard.
Big time. Yeah. Who else was on that cup run with them? It was Brian Boucher and
Leighton.
Leighton, yeah.
Mr. Five-Hole himself, Michael
Leighton.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's sad to watch, to be honest. It's fun to poke fun when a team is bad for a year or something, right? Or something funny bad happens to them or whatever.
But when the long-term situation looks like they're going to be terrible, it's there's
so
nothing to cheer about. The Eagles are good this year. I mean, that's something.
But it's not hockey. You know what I mean?
It's also it's also I always feel bad for fans of teams that their executives don't know why they're bad or that they are bad. It's the worst when the executive the hive mind, whatever happens in hockey, they're not realizing that something needs to happen or that they're the problem. Because
they think that the team is actually good, or they're just going to continue what they're doing.
Yeah.
We will get good. It's oh boy, no.
That's the territory the Flyers are in right now. They think they're going to be good, but they're shit.
The executives see, as long as money comes in, they're not going to care. But if money starts to dip down, people are going to pay for Flyers hockey. Like, no matter
Here's the
what
thing, though.
happens.
Here's the thing. When the Leafs got really bad, like I think 14, 15,
Fans actually stopped
they
going.
actually stopped going.
Yeah.
And if that happens to the Leafs, like it'll happen in Philadelphia. So we'll see. But I think the first half of the season is going to be, not even the first half, like the first few months is going to be such a disaster that people are going to want to watch, whether it be on TV or there. Like with Tortorella and everything, it's going to be so bad that they're going to want to watch. But it's going to get sad around December, I think.
That's generous. December, I give it a month, like, or even American Thanksgiving, and that's closer to December.
I think up until that point, it's going to be like meme material and stuff, and then by like December, everyone's going to be like, okay, this is kind of like happening every night.
Yeah, it's like.
And then Carter Hart joins, the ghosts of Flyers goaltending past. He joins the likes of, like Antero Niittymaki and Roman Chikmanek. It's all of them. You go.
It's going to get to the point, like Matt said, like maybe around American Thanksgiving where like the social media person's just going to tweet out the end of game graphic without like a caption.
Yep, just final.
Yeah.
Final.
That's like 6-0 against like the 28th place team.
Yeah,
it's almost a situation where you see like Austin Bear in Arizona. He's laughing. He's like, glad I got out of that one at the right time.
Jeez.
And at that point too, you saw like why would he leave the Flyers? And then you saw, that's why he left the Flyers.
On the bright side for the Flyers, Couturier is not having another season-ending injury. Although a back injury, never good for hockey players, whether he's getting surgery or only week to week. Apparently, I'm very scared for him because he's also had like ACL injuries. He had his other injury last year. That guy has fucking hard miles on him, and he just signed an 8-year extension. And I think he's 30 now, or a little bit older than 30. 31. Yeah, I'm like, I'm worried for him because he's such a good player, but I just don't like where this is going. I feel like we see this a lot.
They're in trouble.
Well, his play style. Sorry, Diz. You first go.
No, like on top of what we were just talking about, like the Flyers are in trouble and it's just starting. But anyway, Couturier, it sucks for him as a player. Like he can still go for a while, but it's just he has a lot of hard miles on him. I don't want to say he's injury prone, but it's just the type of game he plays.
There always long injuries too. Like it's never just like he's out like 2 weeks. It's
like you said, like ACL or whatever. Like you're out for like 6 months or whatever. So, I don't know, man. It sucks, and it's the type of thing that like, do they have to like not baby him, but like, you know what I mean? Like, is he gonna get hurt again? Like halfway through the season or something? Like, it's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, almost what like the Pens did with Crosby. Like the Pens were like super careful with Crosby, and then they brought him back. He might not be ready.
Yeah.
So that could backfire, and it also could work. Like you don't want him to get too rusty, but you don't want to rush him back where he gets hurt in the first 2-3 games. Because his play style, like you said, it's physically demanding. Being like a defensive hound on the puck, like it's not like you can just go for a skate, right? You're always on somebody whenever you're on the ice until your shift ends.
There is a possibility that he can change, not his play style, but the way he plays.
Under Tortorella, fat chance.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, see, no, they're done, man. They're done.
Imagine telling John Tortorella, like, as your team's best defensive forward, no. I'm gonna sort of, relax a bit. No, Tortorella's gonna put you up in the press box for 82 games.
Man.
That's a good point.
You're done.
That team is gonna be shocking, man.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be
like
bad.
Any team with Ristolainen, like it's just gonna be a mistake waiting for you. Like I don't know why they got him
or extended him. Holy shit!
There was a graphic of like all of the analytics or stats people on an NHL team, and I think the Flyers had like 6 or 7. You're telling me not one of those 6 or 7 people took a look at Ristolainen's stats and said, maybe we shouldn't get him. But they still spent.
I tweeted about that because I saw the graphic. You know that like meme where it's like a picture of Thanos and it's like, it's DJ Khaled and it's like, what does he do? And so I quote you and I was like, the Flyers analytics team was just like, what does he do? Because
how do you have that many people running the numbers, crunching the data, and still, coming to a consensus or
maybe it's
consensus on Ristolainen?
Dude, maybe it's just fucking Chuck Fletcher just being like, fuck you guys, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Like the guy signed Nick Delorier for 4 years and said he was like a special player that they wouldn't be able to get. So Like, like I don't know, man.
It's like when
It's
the
just a
Leafs.
whole bunch of decisions, like Zach McEwen.
Yeah, it's just
Like, why?
puzzling.
Why?
Yeah.
May as well bring back Zach Ronaldo.
I hate to bring things back to the Leafs, but there's like so many comparables when they were bad. Like when they signed Dave Bolin, everyone was like, no, not David Clarkson. Everyone was like, bad idea. We know this is a bad idea. Don't do this.
Any smart person said that was a bad idea.
Not even a smart person. I was having like general conversations with semi-dumb people about it, and they're like, maybe like don't do this. And then the Leafs did it.
The uncles and dads loved that signing, okay?
They don't. That's when I knew it was like over the hill bad. When they're like, I don't know about this guy. Oh boy.
30 goals.
Yeah.
Also can't skate. Anyway, let's get into...
I would like to take this moment on the podcast real quick to just say that the Blue Jays are going back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hooray.
Or the postseason.
Yeah, sorry. Oops. Baseball
All that
different.
to get dumped out by the Rays in 3. We all know what's happening.
No.
No, and it can only be in 2 because it's a 3-game series, okay?
Right.
So you're an
Come
idiot.
on, Matt.
Anyway, training camp started about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. A couple headlines coming out of that. Jacob Chikrin basically said in his press conference that he doesn't want to play there anymore. It was kind of funny. He was like, yeah, I just like, I think it'd be beneficial for both of us if I wasn't here. So he still wants out. No team wants to pony up the ask for him. Maybe the ask is too high, but he's a sick young defenseman who makes $4.6 million. So I think the Coyotes should be asking a lot for him.
Yeah, but based on what I saw, what they were asking for last year, it was too much.
Just crazy.
So we'll see. I don't know.
I feel bad for him, but get fucked. Anyway, Winnipeg, a lot of fucking storylines coming out of there, eh? Rick Bowness said "fuck you, Blake Wheeler," and then took away the captaincy from him, and now he's playing on the third line, which is kind of funny. That guy's also not that good. Winnipeg also tried to trade him. Yeah, the whole leadership thing in Winnipeg is finally getting a shake. After Bufflin left, everything kind of went to shit over there. So it's pretty good, and hopefully Rick Bowness can actually get a culture shock in there.
I think they got to just get rid of everyone. Like the older guys, like Scheifele, Wheeler, like they just got to get rid of all of them.
Those guys just seem like, like I don't, for lack of a better word, not the greatest personable guys. And like
when I saw that clip last year of Scheifele coming into the room with the helmet, and he goes, "Anything better than beating the Leafs?" Like that's the most loser shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, yes, winning the cup, that is why you're there, bro. Yes, there is better.
Making the playoffs.
Yeah, literally, like winning a few games like in a row. So like I don't know. I think they just got to get rid of like all the older-ish guys, including Scheifele. Like I don't know. It doesn't even seem like he wants to be there either.
No, you remember in his last press conference, he said he wasn't sure about the vision of the team. I'm like, bro,
yeah, it's half your fault.
Yeah, it's like Scheifele and Miller don't play any fucking defense, and like they're like lazy. And I know a lot of Jets fans don't like them anymore just because like they're dicks. And like Pierre-Luc Dubois was there. The guy who was traded for like Dubois wanted out, right?
Yep.
Because of Scheifele. Even Wheeler said like, "Oh, I should have been better with Line or whatever." Yeah, because you're a fucking loser. And then Line went out. Now Dubois came in, and he wanted out after like a year and a half of being there. He wanted to go to Montreal, and now it's like, dude, what is going? Like they have a decent young core with guys like Cole Perfetti. Like I think they have Chaz Lucius, I think his name is. They have really Hinola, a couple good players.
Good young players.
Connor Hellebuyck's a fucking anchor. He's fucking sick, but I just don't know with them. You know what I mean?
See, the thing with Rick Bowness is that you can tell when it's a coach's like final job. And Rick Bowness does not care about burning bridges.
Yeah.
And you can tell that, Scheifele and Wheeler want to be happy. I don't care. Like, it's not like I don't have to worry about getting fired.
Yeah, if I get fired, I don't really give a fuck.
Then he'll just retire. Yeah. But it's finally, it's so, I don't know, satisfying to see Wheeler and Scheifele get their comeuppance. Because in the past, coaches like Dave Lowry and Maurice, whenever they saw their veterans unhappy, then they just bowed down to them and catered to them, and nothing really changed. And that's what happened, with guys like Line getting shipped out. I'm not shocked whatsoever by Rick Bowness sort of instituting a new culture. It was like, if you don't like the things like the way things are ran, get out. So
I think the next step too
interesting.
is to like, if they don't fall into line now with this new like culture reset, like you said, get rid of them.
And the thing Maurice didn't do what Bonus does is I was hearing some of the post-game comments from Bonus, and he, without like saying their names, he called out some of the players like, oh, well, their shift time was way too long than I preferred. It's like you never saw that with Maurice.
Yeah.
Like Maurice just, oh, well, we lost.
I think the other thing with Maurice is more, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's more of like a player's coach in a way where like you said, like when the top guys get like disgruntled, he'll be like, how can I make this better for you, the top guys, right? So then like you can perform your best or whatever, but then they forget the vision of the team, right? And they're just like, it just goes to shit.
Or in the post-game comments too, Bonus was mentioning something about like, I don't care if it's preseason, like the vets need to show the younger guys how the NHL game is played. You can't just coast out there. In the first preseason game against Edmonton, Dubois just played like it was the infamous shift in Columbus. He was just out for his skate, All pucks in the corner. That's cute. I'll just skate back and change.
Ever since Dubois, like his second year, I think, like he's checked out completely on any team he was on.
It's a personality thing. He just wants to play for Montreal.
Yeah, but if I'm Montreal looking at that, I'm like, I don't think I want you, because then what if you come here and you're unhappy?
No, they're gonna get him. They're gonna get him for like nothing when he's a free agent. So
probably
they're looking forward to it.
I don't remember the last time I saw a potential free agent announce, I'm going to test free agency in 2 years. Not even like this upcoming summer, but the summer after that.
This guy's like, no, he literally just. And remember at the draft, he attended the draft in Montreal because he thought he was going to get traded to Montreal. That was like, I don't know what's going on over there in Winnipeg.
Like it's such an ego thing too. It's like it's not even a funny ego thing. It's just sad. No. It's like, hopefully they trade me. If not, I'm just gonna leave in 2 years. I don't care how I perform. It just matters that I get there in the end. And it's selfish. It's selfish, and it's just not the way. Like, not going back to Rick Bonus again. But if you just teach the younger guys, whine until you get your way, nothing's ever gonna change that way.
Yeah, man. Brutal. Some other, a few things from training camps. I'll just run over them quickly. Jason Robertson isn't signed still, which we talked about with Dallas, so I guess we don't really need to cover that. Nick Hag is still not signed. Solid defenseman for Vegas. I think he's practicing with the Kitchener Rangers.
Practicing with Kitchener Rangers right now.
Yeah, of the OHL, just so he could keep his like his conditioning up. And then Alex Formanton is also unsigned, and I don't think really.
Bit of an asterisk.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to get into that.
That's skill based.
I think Ottawa has a lot of cap space. They could use a player like him, but I think there's another reason there that you guys can guess what we're insinuating.
Along with Drake Batherson as well.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I mean, Jake Batherson said he's having the time of his life, so good for him. We'll wrap this segment up of the podcast by talking about the Leafs because there's actually been a couple of headlines coming out from there. First day of training camp, someone asked Matthews about his extension. He said, I love Toronto. They've embraced my family. I think it's home, but I'm not going to talk about this again because he can't even sign an extension yet until June, or July. So there's no point in that.
Who asked them that? Are we going to start with the contract shit 2 years out already? Like,
it's
crazy.
No, because it's a combination of McKinnon signing his contract and training camps happening. So, and it's Matthews.
He literally can't change anything about his contract until a year from now. So, like, why? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But there's also probably some of the fear too, because Nylander and Marner kind of held out, right? Because they don't want to go through that.
But Matthews can't even hold out though. He'd be a UFA. There's no holdout.
Well, I know, but still, they have that non-flashbacks of having Nylander and Marner hold out. So, just in case, right?
Yeah. But I think when Matthews is different because he's like the main star, and it's like
there's no negotiation there, bro.
There isn't because it's the number is going to be the number. It's just how long the contract's going to be. It's whatever number he walks in he wants. That's the number he's getting.
Yeah, like Dubas isn't stupid. Also, another thing with the Leafs is like they're playing like chicken with Dubas in his contract. Like, I don't like that. Number one, because like Shanahan said we're not going to extend me. I'm like, bro, Shanahan, like you haven't done shit all either. So I don't know why you're
along your way.
I don't know why you're on your high horse being like, oh yeah, we're not going to sign you. Meanwhile, everyone you've brought in has been unsuccessful too. So I don't get that. Also, like, dude, give Dubas his fucking extension, and if shit hits the fan, get rid of him, bro. You're the fucking Leafs. This money's not a problem. I don't like that they're doing, because like, what if like the Leafs do good this year, for example, and then Dubas is like, oh, well, you guys did this to me. I'm just gonna go somewhere else, because he can do that. He has every right to do that. So I think they just stop playing chicken with the guy. Give him his extension.
You know what I don't get? Yeah, like in this whole thing, and everyone's like, I don't know, Dubas has got to go because they're not winning rounds or whatever. Do people open their eyes and see what's going on? He's built a team that last year broke the franchise record, which they just previously broke his first season as GM, for the best franchise in history. And every year, except for Columbus, they've lost to the team that's gone to the Stanley Cup final. Like, that has some merit. It has merit.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Every year. Montreal, there's Tampa, Boston in 2019. Washington.
That was 2017.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Boston still went to conference final, I think, that year or whatever. But anyway.
They went to the Cup finals.
2019.
Yeah.
2013 too, but that's a different story. But,
that's a different era.
But every year they lose to the team that goes to the Cup final, and I don't care what anyone says. Like, yeah, if you replace the Leafs with that team, do they go? Who cares? That's a what if, right? But it has merit. Like, that team did go all the way, and they're smashing franchise records. So like, the team is good. What do you mean?
It's literally
he's built a good team.
It's literally one win. One
knocking on the door. They were one goal away last year. I thought they played really well. I don't know, and then they lost to Tampa, who went to the final.
And it's Tampa.
I've never seen a team underneath a microscope in its own market than with the Leafs, because I don't know any other team where there's headlines in the news about the GM not getting an extension. Like Dubas,
yeah, that's crazy.
It's like, oh, Dubas isn't getting an extension. No, you don't see that in in Detroit. It's like, oh, will Yzerman get an extension? Of course, it's Steve Yzerman, but with like Dubas, there's got to be some more news. There's got to be some more Leafs news. The GM, he's not even on the ice. Why are you caring about his contract extension?
Matt, it's news because of the peripherals. That's literally it.
Yeah.
It's news because it's the peripherals. The guy hasn't won a round. His team hasn't won a round. Shanahan hasn't won a round. But Shanahan's walking around with his iron fist being like, oh, I don't know, Kyle. I don't know. Meanwhile, he hasn't won shit either. And like, Shanahan wanted to give Dave Bowen a 5-year extension. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I think there's a lot of not me. So
yeah, what it boils down to is it's just a bunch of finger pointing at the end.
Yeah, exactly. So
but I think if we're talking about Dubas, who builds the team? It's him, right?
Yes.
He's built a good team. And that's what you're supposed to do. They just have not won yet. And that also falls on the players. You got to get over that hump, right? Like, yeah, they lost last year, 1 goal, whatever. We'll score 2 of them. Like,
or win fucking game 6.
Or win game 6. Up. Yeah, don't give up that lead or whatever.
Okay, I don't want to go down. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Dude, sometimes I don't want to go down it either. But sometimes I think about how they were up 3-2 and up 3-2 in the third last year in game 6, and they lost the series. Like, it's actually
fucking Braden Point in overtime.
Mind blowing.
Oh my god!
It just becomes my favorite annual tradition. Anyways.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Yeah. So.
Time is a flat circle, ladies and gentlemen.
To round it out, like, he's built a really good team, and like, if you think,
I want them to keep him. I want them to extend him. I think he should be extended.
He should be extended. He's done a good job.
You can't find anybody. You can't find anybody who would construct a better team currently. They'll hire some bozo who's like 90 years old and is gonna go like trade for Erica Branson on his 4x4 extension. Like, dude.
And then people will be like, oh, I made the mistake, like Nick Foligno. They'll hang on these things, right? Like, which was a bad trade. But he gets someone like Michael Bunting, who's playing on the first line.
Mark Giordano!
Yeah, Mark Giordano. And then, like, quiet. Radio silence all of a sudden. Huh? Like, I don't know. Crazy.
The thing is, too, like, everyone, it's just like it's a human thing. It's more exciting when someone fucks up than does good.
Sure.
So It's just I don't know.
But it's like it goes both ways.
Yeah, it's like
you can't just be like Nick Foligno, blah blah blah, and then it's like okay, well Michael Bunting, man. Let's talk about that.
Or like Giordano extending him for like look at their defense. It's fucking stacked. You know what I mean?
was talking about their defense 2-3 years ago. Like heading into the bubble, they're like the Leafs will never go anywhere because their defense sucks. And Brian Burke's like their defense, blah blah blah. Now their defense is sick. Now what? Oh, it's a goaltending. Wow.
Yeah. So for
we'll see as the season continues.
The jury is still out on the goaltending.
In 2 years, it'll be the forwards again.
Yeah. To put a bow on the Leafs talk, Tavares is out 3 weeks with an injury. I think he's gonna miss the first week of the season.
He will.
So
that should not a big deal. It's a muscle strain. Like he'll be back.
Yeah. Nylander apparently played with migraines all year last year and had one of the best seasons of his career.
With migraines.
Yeah. And now he's wearing a different visor to help his a tinted visor to help him with the migraine. So he's also looked really good in preseason.
Yes.
Like he's looked very. I mean, he's also like every time he's played, it's been like an AHL Leafs roster against like actually against the against like the Senators was a good team, but yeah, man, it's weird.
I don't know, like for anyone who doesn't get migraines, it affects a lot of shit, like your whole body, honestly.
It shocks me how Nylander took this long to figure out. Maybe I should wear a tinted visor. Like, how did he get that idea? Like this summer, he was walking with sunglasses, and this is a whole lot better. This is so much better.
Yeah, man, I don't know. But personal anecdote: I was at the Leafs Montreal preseason game yesterday. So just some of my personal eye testosterone being in the building, as they say. Number one, I don't think anybody cares about the Subban series anymore. I don't think anybody who watched them win was like. That was like 50 years ago. My dad is like 52. So I don't know, how many people actually watched it. It was cool to see like Paul Henderson there. That guy's like a hometown hero. But other than that, whatever. Another thing is, in terms of on-ice stuff, Uri Slavkovsky looks very out of place in the NHL. Preseason, whatever. He looks very, very sluggish, clunky. I don't know what to say. He just didn't really look that good. On the Leafs side of things, Dennis Mulligan looks like he's fucking sick. Like, he looks really good. That guy looks like an NHL player for sure. Nick Robertson was launching bullets the entire game, and Matt Murray looks very calm, I guess, albeit a depleted Montreal team, but he looks steady. Samsonov also looks steady in the games he played, so very cool, very cool.
Now, Nick, a question for you. For those listening on the audio podcast, to sort of give them a visual, which NHL player currently today would you compare Slavkovsky to? Any like who's the most sluggish, slow player that you can think of right now that would fit Slavkovsky to a T? Dude,
I can't really think. I don't know. Like Slavkovsky he just kind of like looks disinterested.
Like, would he be like an Alex Chason type player? Because whenever you say like sluggish and slow, I just think of Alex Chason right off the bat.
I commented. So TSN posted this picture of him in the Canadiens red. They played at home the other night. And they're like, wow, Slavkovsky looking nice and red or whatever. And I just commented Pierre Engvall, and it got so many likes.
Dude, a lot of people, when he was drafted, someone tweeted like, oh, congrats, the Habs got Clunky Engvall. And like, low key, it's kind of true, bro.
It's so similar.
Yeah.
So similar.
He's just Clunky Engvall.
But my favorite thing, too, is like, these people will tweet out videos of him like skating up the ice and losing the puck, and they'll be like, wow, good try.
Slavkovsky makes quite the effort here. It's like,
it's the sunken cost fallacy here.
Yeah.
So he's a first overall pick. I mean, you got to find the positives somehow.
It's funny.
Right?
It's just
I get it.
Like,
it's just kind of funny, like to look.
He'll probably end up being a solid NHL player, but like it's just funny. Like it's just he also is under the Montreal microscope, so it's very funny. Yeah, that's about it for training camp. Okay, so let's get into our wrap session of the podcast where we do our flowers. Follow us all on the socials, TikTok. Follow our individual Twitters. We might be making our own Twitter soon. That might be something we'll put in the works. But yeah, wrap question. We talked about this before the show started. Who was the first NHL coach to be fired this season? Matt, go to you first.
It might be a bit of a surprise here. but I'm going to go with, in the second season, I'm going to go with Seattle firing Dave Haxtell. Haxtell will sort of get them over the hump, and then management will decide, hey, you've done your job, now leave, and then bring in someone, I don't know, like Claude Julien. That was a name I threw out before the podcast. But it almost seems to happen with teams that get over the hump where they have the coach that helps them get to that point, and then they get replaced. So Dave Haxtell with the Seattle Kraken is my pick for the first coach to be replaced this season.
Okay, Darius?
I'm going to go a little bit off the board, maybe, with DJ Smith of the Ottawa Senators. He's been there a while already. There's a lot of back pressure this year for Ottawa to actually be good because they got some good signings. They got some good players via trade. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them to actually be good this year. I thought they should have taken more of a step than they did last year. So I think he's on the hot seat, DJ Smith in Ottawa.
I will run with Lindy Ruff of the New Jersey Devils. Not really too much to say about the Devils. I think expectations are high for the Devils, probably maybe internally as well. And I don't think they'll meet the expectations just because their team is very young. They have depth, but like also young. Their goaltending is a little bit shaky with Vanacek and Blackwood. On defense, they have guys like Dougie Hamilton is coming back from pretty forgettable season just because of injuries and stuff. Damon Severson is solid. They drafted, I think, Simon Nemec. I don't know if he'll make the team just because he's young, very young, and second overall pick. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I just think the thing with the Devils, like, I think they're internally their expectations are high because you have guys like Hughes, Heischer. They signed Andre Palat. They have a lot of Jesper Brack got a pretty large dollar amount on his extension. So I think their expectations are high internally, and I just don't think they'll be that good in a tough metropolitan division. So yeah, Lindy Ruff might be out the door here. And it's also, we were talking about this earlier, it's funny that Sheldon Keefe has the highest odds to be fired, the first coach to be fired. So that's just a funny little tidbit there. So yeah.
The Leafs would have to like start so bad, and then even then, I don't know. But
it's got to take another flurry save.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank God for in that moment too.
Yeah, man. Other than that, this was a long episode because we had so much to cover. I hope you guys enjoyed the ride. Subscribe on all platforms, YouTube, as I said. Listen to us give us 5 stars on all the audio platforms. We're on all of them. Shout out Matt, bought the premium Zoom account. Shout out Darius, records, edits, uploads it. Shout out me because I do the hosting, I guess. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back ideally next week. Who knows? It's a busy time of the year for everyone.
Season starts next week too.
Yeah, season starts next week.
That's with the Europe games. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like also just generally September just gets busy for everyone. Everything kind of picks back up.
Yeah.
For like even if you're working throughout the summer, it just feels like everything picks back up again. I'm back in university, so I'm a lot busier. I've moved to a new place. So yeah. Other than that, thank you all for tuning in. So
next week also, I'm going to Jets Oilers this Saturday, so I will give a sort of I'll do what you did, Nick, here, and I'll give you my experience of the game and what I saw, what I didn't see. So
yeah, and also preseason is very long. Other than that, thank you all for tuning in. Have a good day or night. When you're listening to this, drive safe if you're driving. If you're on the GO train, I hope your trip is very relaxing. If you're on any train, because might not be the GO train. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, thank you all.
Very, very localized.
Yeah. Let's go Steelheads, everyone.
Thanks for watching and listening to the Gritcast. For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.